The laundromat closes at midnight, but nobody enforces it. You know this because you are here at 11:14 on a Tuesday, sitting on top of a washing machine that vibrates at a frequency your lower back has memorized, reading a book you found in the free bin at the library on Sycamore, which is also where you go to charge your phone because the outlet in your room at Keisha's apartment doesn't work and the landlord has stopped returning texts about it. The fluorescent light above you buzzes at a pitch slightly higher than the dryer in the corner, and together they make a sound that isn't silence and isn't noise. It's just the frequency of a place where nobody is watching because nobody considers it worth watching. You come here every 8 days because that's how long you can stretch a load. $2.25 for the wash, $1.75 for the dryer. You bring your own detergent in a Ziploc bag you refill from a bottle under Keisha's sink, and she's never said anything about it, and you've never said anything about it, and the silence between you on this subject is the kind of kindness that doesn't have a word. The other places in your life are the bus stop on Ridgeland where the bench is cracked and the schedule hasn't been updated since March, the gas station where you work 3 shifts a week and the orange cleaner has stained the skin between your thumb and forefinger a faint chemical amber that doesn't wash out completely. The free clinic on 4th Street where you sat for 2 hours and 40 minutes last week to have someone look at a cough that turned out to be nothing but cost you a morning you could have been working. The dollar store where everything costs more than $1 now, but you go anyway because the grocery store 2 blocks further has prices that assume a different life. Every location you occupy was designed for people who have no other option. The waiting room at the free clinic doesn't have magazines from this year. The bus stop doesn't have a shelter. The laundromat doesn't have an attendant after 9. You are not a customer in any of these places. You are a user. The distinction is invisible until you cross it, and you haven't crossed it yet, and from this side it looks permanent. Keisha meets you at a Thai restaurant on Division Street on Thursdays when she doesn't have a late shift. The restaurant is small. 8 tables, one of which wobbles, vinyl booths with tape on the seats, a television mounted in the corner playing a channel neither of you has ever identified. You always get the pad CE, she always gets the green curry. The bill is never more than $22, and you split it so evenly that the math has become automatic. This restaurant is the only place in your life you chose to be. Everything else is a place you go because the math sent you there. The Thai place on Division is where you go because Keisha is there, and the curry is good, and the booth by the window has a view of a street where nothing happens, and somehow that feels like enough. You have a grocery store now, not the dollar store, a real grocery store with produce that isn't wrapped in plastic and an aisle for bread that isn't white and soft and engineered to last 2 weeks. You shop here on Sundays and you use the self-checkout because the self-checkout doesn't make a face when you pull out a stack of coupons you clipped from a circular you picked up at the laundromat. The total is usually $61 to $68, and you've memorized the price of eggs, milk, chicken thighs, rice, and the off-brand cereal that tastes the same as the name brand but costs $1.40 less. Your gym costs $10 a month. The equipment is adequate. The locker room smells like mildew, and the body spray someone uses too much of in the corner by the showers. You go 3 times a week and you've learned to time your visits for 6 a.m. because at 6 a.m. the gym is empty and the mildew and the body spray are tolerable when nobody is watching you figure out how a machine works by reading the diagram on the side. You went to urgent care last month because your knee swelled up after a shift and you couldn't afford to wait 2 hours and 40 minutes at the free clinic again. Urgent care cost you $187 after insurance, which is insurance you have now through the medical supply company, which is the first job you've ever had that included insurance, which is something you didn't know you were supposed to celebrate until Keisha told you that her job doesn't offer it. The waiting room at urgent care has magazines from this year. The chairs have cushions. A television on the wall plays a channel you can identify. The difference between the free clinic and urgent care is $187 and 6 months of having the kind of job that considers your body worth maintaining. You eat at a restaurant with David, not the Thai place on Division, a restaurant with cloth napkins and a menu that has descriptions under each item that use words like drizzled and shaved and locally sourced. You look at the right side of the menu first. You've always looked at the right side first. You order the second cheapest pasta because the cheapest feels conspicuous, and the third cheapest feels reckless, and the second cheapest feels like the correct answer to a test nobody said you were taking. The Thai place on Division hasn't changed. The booth still wobbles, the tape on the seats has been replaced, but the new tape is the same color as the old tape, which suggests a system. Keisha still gets the green curry, you still split the bill, the television still plays an unidentifiable channel. You've been to 4 new restaurants this year, the one with David, 2 work lunches, and a birthday dinner at a place with candles. But Thursday at the Thai place is the only meal you don't calculate before you order. Not because it's cheap, because it's the only place that knew you before the math changed.
The coffee shop has wood tables and baristas who write your name on the cup without asking because you've been coming here long enough that they remember it. The coffee costs $4.70, and you don't look at the price anymore. You just tap your card and take the cup and sit at a table by the window and open your laptop. And the entire ritual, the tap, the cup, the table, the window, took 3 years and 2 job changes to afford as a daily event instead of a weekly indulgence. Nobody in the coffee shop knows this. The wood table doesn't know what the dollar store counter felt like. You have a dentist now, not the clinic, a dentist named Dr. Pham who has an office with a waiting room that smells like eucalyptus and has a fish tank and plays music that's designed to make you forget you're about to have someone's hands in your mouth. The hygienist remembers your name. The receptionist says, "Welcome back." The x-rays appear on a screen instead of a film held up to a light. You pay a $40 copay, and the rest is handled by the insurance that still feels like a gift even though it's been 2 years since you started the job that gave it to you. You take a trip, your first real trip, not a drive to Keisha's cousin's house, not a weekend in a town 2 hours away, a flight to a city you've only seen in photographs, you saved for 6 months. The airport is a revelation, not the flight itself, which is cramped and delayed and smells like recycled air, but the terminal. The terminal has restaurants you've seen advertised but never entered, stores that sell things you don't need but are allowed to browse, a bookstore with a coffee counter where you buy a novel and a latte, and sit at a gate and watch planes through glass and realize that every person sitting around you is going somewhere, and the fact that you are also going somewhere is a fact you haven't fully absorbed yet. You are a person at a gate. You are going somewhere. 6 years ago, you sat on a washing machine and read a book from a free bin, and the furthest you traveled that year was the free clinic on 4th Street. Thursday, at the Thai place on Division, Keisha has a new story about a coworker. You have a sunburn from the trip. The booth wobbles. The pad CU is the same. You tell her about the airport bookstore, and she says she wants to go somewhere next year. And you say, "Let's do it." And you both mean it, and you both know it might happen. And that alone, the might, is new. The might used to be a wall. Now it's a door. A small one, but a door. The gym has towel service. You didn't ask for towel service. It came with the membership, which costs $65 a month, which is 6.5 times what the Mildew gym cost, but which includes a sauna and a steam room and a locker room that smells like cedar and lemongrass instead of body spray. You go at 7 a.m. now because the schedule allows it, and because at 7 a.m. this gym is full of people who go at 7 a.m., and the fact that you're one of them is something you notice every single morning for about 3 seconds before you stop noticing it.
The restaurant doesn't have prices on the right side of the menu. It doesn't have a right side. It has one column of dishes with descriptions and another column of nothing, and the nothing is the point. The nothing means the price is somewhere else, on a different version of the menu, or on the check that arrives face down, or in the silence between you and the waiter who never says the number out loud. You stop looking for the right side. It takes 2 visits before you stop. The 3rd visit you order without checking anything, and the feeling is not freedom. It's the absence of a weight you carried so long you forgot it was weight. You stay at a hotel with a robe, not a bathrobe you brought from home. A robe that's already in the bathroom, folded, white, heavy, monogrammed with the hotel's initials. You put it on after a shower, and you stand at the window, and you look at a city you've only been to twice, and the robe weighs more than any piece of clothing you owned at 22. The weight is not fabric, it's permission. Permission to stand at a window in someone else's building, in someone else's city, in someone else's robe, and feel like you belong there. The free clinic never gave you that. The dollar store never gave you that. The laundromat at 11 p.m. never gave you that. The robe gives you that. And the robe costs nothing because it came with the room, which cost $420 a night, which is a number you checked once and then stopped checking. The tie place on Division. Thursday, Keisha is there. She's wearing the same jacket she's had for 3 years. The booth wobbles. You sit in it anyway. You could take Keisha to the restaurant without the right side of the menu. You could take her to the hotel with the robe, but she's never asked and you've never offered because the tie place on Division is not a compromise. It is the only location in your life where your net worth has never entered the room. You have an office now, not a desk in an open plan, a room with a door that closes and a window that opens, and a view of a parking lot that's yours, which is ugly, but the ugliness belongs to you, and there's a dignity in that you didn't expect. The contractor who renovated the office, a man named Hayes, brought fabric samples on his second visit and laid them across your desk like a sommelier presenting wine, and you chose the one that felt right without checking the price, because the prices on fabric samples are not printed on fabric samples, and by the time you find out what it costs, it's already on the walls, and the walls are yours. You shop at a boutique now instead of the department store. The boutique has one rack of each size and a woman named Marguerite who remembers what you bought last time and suggests things based on what she thinks you'd like, not what's on sale. The fitting room has a chair and a hook and a mirror that's lit from the front instead of above, which is a difference you never knew mattered until the first time you saw yourself lit from the front and realized every other mirror had been lying. You rent a house for a week. Not a hotel room, a house, with a kitchen and a porch and a view of water. You cook in someone else's kitchen, you drink wine on someone else's porch, you watch the sun set over someone else's water, and the entire week costs what you used to make in a month at the medical supply company, and the fact that you can spend a month's salary on a week of stillness is the single clearest evidence that the math has changed in ways the laundromat version of you would not have believed. Thursday, tie place, Division Street. Keisha is late because traffic was bad. The booth wobbles. The curry is good. You don't mention the vacation house. She doesn't ask. She talks about her sister's kid who said something funny at dinner. You laugh. The pad CE arrives. The bill is $23 now because the prices went up by $1, and neither of you mentioned it because $1 is not a conversation anymore for either of you, which is its own kind of progress measured in the silence of what used to be math. You see a doctor who doesn't take insurance, not because he refuses it, because the practice doesn't participate. You pay out of pocket. The waiting room has 2 people in it, and one of them is you. The appointment is 45 minutes long, which is 37 minutes longer than any appointment you've ever had. Dr. Linden asks questions nobody has ever asked you, not about symptoms, about sleep, about stress, about what you eat and when and why. He takes notes on a tablet and looks at you while he's writing, which shouldn't be remarkable, but is, because every other doctor you've ever seen looked at the screen. You have a membership to a club, not a gym, a club, with a library and a dining room and a terrace where people drink things at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday because their schedules allow it. The library has books nobody reads and chairs nobody sits in, and the silence is not the silence of emptiness, it's the silence of excess. Too many rooms for too few people, which is a luxury you didn't know existed until you sat in one of the chairs and opened one of the books and realized the chair and the book and the silence were all yours for as long as you wanted, which was 20 minutes, because the silence started to feel like it was listening. You sit in an airport lounge for the first time, not the terminal,
the lounge, behind a door that opens with a card that came with a credit card that came with a credit score that came with a decade of decisions nobody saw you make. The lounge has free food you don't need, free drinks you don't want, and free silence you didn't know you were paying for in every terminal you've ever sat in. The gate outside the lounge has families and backpackers, and a woman reading a book on her bag because the chairs are full. You used to be the woman reading the book on her bag. The glass door between the lounge and the terminal is transparent, which means you can see each other, which means the separation is not hidden, it's displayed. Thursday. Thai place. Division. Keisha arrives first this time. She ordered for you because she knows. The pad CU is already on the table. The booth wobbles. The television plays something you'll never identify. You've been to 11 countries this year. You've sat in airport lounges on 4 continents. You've slept in hotels that charged more per night than this restaurant makes in a month. But Thursday at the Thai place is the only location on Earth where you don't calculate the distance between where you are and where you started, because there is no distance here. There never was. You fly from a private terminal now. The terminal doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a sign. It has a door and a woman named Claire who greets you by name and walks you to the plane the way a host walks you to a table. There is no security line. There is no gate. There is no announcement. The plane is there, and you walk onto it, and the entire process takes 4 minutes, which is less time than you used to spend waiting for the bus on Ridgeland. Your home is not a house, it is an estate, which is a word you didn't grow up using and still feels borrowed when you say it. The estate has rooms you don't enter. A garden maintained by a man named Tomas, who arrives at 6 a.m. and leaves before you wake up, and the only evidence of his existence is that the hedges are always the same shape. You pay Tomas $53,000 a year to be invisible, which is more than you made annually at the medical supply company, and the symmetry of that is something you've thought about exactly once and decided not to think about again. You attend a gallery opening, not as a guest, as a buyer. The gallery owner, a woman named Marguerite, the same Marguerite from the boutique who now runs a gallery instead, walks you to a piece on the back wall that hasn't been shown to anyone else. She says she held it for you. The painting costs more than your first apartment and the second apartment and the third apartment combined. You buy it because it makes you feel something you can't name, which at this price point is the only justification that matters. You drive past the laundromat on Sycamore. You don't stop, you don't slow down, but through the window in the fluorescent light, you see a woman sitting on top of a washing machine, reading a book, and for 1 second, not longer, exactly 1 second, the vibration of that machine travels through the glass and through the car and through the leather seat and into your lower back, which has never forgotten the frequency. And you keep driving because stopping would mean something you're not ready to mean.
You don't visit locations anymore, you create them. The development company, the same 3 words that don't Google well, broke ground on a cultural center last April. A museum wing will carry a name the branding firm chose for $90,000 after testing 4 options with 3 focus groups. The name is your name. You didn't ask for that. The board recommended it. You agreed because declining felt more conspicuous than accepting, and at this altitude, conspicuous is the only thing that costs more than money. The places in your life are no longer places. They are properties, assets, line items on Whitfield's quarterly report that arrive in emails without subject lines, a hotel in a country you visited twice, a vineyard you toured once and bought on the drive back because the numbers worked and the sunlight on the hills made you feel something, and at this level, feeling something about a place is enough to own it. You sit in a room you designed in a building you built in a city where 23 years ago you sat on a washing machine at 11:14 p.m. reading a book from a free bin. The room is silent. Not the buzzing silence of the laundromat, not the padded silence of the club library. A designed silence. Acoustic panels, double-glazed windows, materials chosen specifically to absorb sound.
You paid for this silence the way you once paid for noise, in quarters, in shifts, in mornings at the free clinic, and evenings at the dollar store, and years at the bus stop on Ridgeland. Somewhere in this city, the Thai restaurant on Division Street is still open. The booth still wobbles, the tape on the seats has been replaced again, the television still plays a channel nobody can identify. Keisha texted an hour ago. She said the pad CEO has a new chef and it's slightly different but still good. You said you'd be there Thursday. She said same time. You said same time. The restaurant hasn't changed because restaurants like that don't change. They persist, the way gravity persists, without effort or explanation. And the reason you will be there Thursday, the reason you've been there every Thursday for 23 years, through every laundromat and every airport lounge and every private terminal and every estate and every gallery and every room you designed and every building you built, is not loyalty. It's not nostalgia, it's not habit. It's that the Thai place on Division is the only location in your life that never required a number to let you in. The door was always open, the booth was always available. The bigger container of curry was always pushed toward you without checking which one it was. And in a life where every other location, every gym, every terminal, every hotel, every club, every doctor's office, every gallery required a number to enter, one place that never asked is not a restaurant. It's a coordinate, the fixed point on a map that moved beneath you for 23 years while everything else shifted. And every Thursday for 45 minutes, the map stops moving. The pad CEO arrives, the booth wobbles, and you are exactly where you started, which turns out to be exactly where you needed to stay.